I am making this very quickly, so it may seem rushed because it's something I just quickly want to talk about. Escalation Freedom came out. I think it was pretty good. The new enemies are fun to fight. The Brood Commander, or the Alpha Brood Commander, is absolutely not afraid to get in your face. He is probably the most annoying, in my opinion, the most annoying enemy on the bug front right now. Like, up there with Hunters. He might even be up higher than Hunters, in my opinion. He will not afraid to get in your face. I haven't fought bots yet. But the main thing I want to talk about is the balance. Obviously, that's a hot topic right now because a few things got nerfed. Fire, which, yeah, realistic fire effects. It wasn't realistic to begin with because Flamethrower used to be able to just go through charger armor, which I actually think was a bad change. I think it was pretty a bad change because now Flamethrower just got completely gutted and there's not really a reason to bring it anymore. But I never ran Flamethrower. I always run Recoiler's Rifle when I fight bugs. And Incendiary Breaker. Now, Incendiary Breaker, I kind of saw coming, and I'm okay with the nerf, to be honest. Granted, I don't think they should have reduced the mags by 2. I just think they should have reduced it by 1, and that would have been fine. Because it was kind of, yeah, it was kind of strong. So I do think people are overreacting just a little bit. I get that they have a habit of nerfing stuff because they use like charts and graphs. Like, I'm a scientist guy, right? I like me some science, so I can get behind some charts, graphs, and, you know, data and everything. But the problem with charts and things is they don't tell the whole story. Sure, they tell you what is being used the most or what's happening, but they don't say why it's being used the most. I think he said Incendiary Breaker was like 30% of the bug front, which makes sense, but like, why is it being used by 30%? Is it because it's too powerful, or is it because the other stuff isn't powerful enough? So a lot of the main weapons do need to be buffed. Still, I'm not arguing against that. But I don't think it's bad that they use charge graphs. I just think it's the way they use it is the bad part. Like, if that's the case, why has Autocannon 500 not got nerfed yet? Because those are just great. The Autocannon hasn't been touched in... Autocannon 500 hasn't been touched since the game came out. Like, they've never been touched. I feel like what the devs are afraid of is people using fire and, like, Flamethrower and Incendiary Breaker as a crutch. I feel like they're afraid some people are using certain weapons as a crutch, and they're the only reason why people are able to do higher difficulties instead of, you know, actually learning the game. Which is like, you know, stratagem use, what stratagems to bring, what stratagems are good in certain situations, how to kite enemies, how to actually survive higher hazards, when to use each stratagem, adjusting for call-in time, stuff like that. Well, like, I guess you can kind of argue that the Flamethrower and the Incendiary Breaker people were using as crutches. So I guess that's why they kind of nerfed it, but still. And in fact, even isn't, I think the drone, what's the drone? The Rover backpack drone. I never use it, because I always run a weapon with a backpack. But apparently that's in the list of bugs, so it doesn't overheat. Like, guys, that was in the game to begin with. Just, like, don't nerf it at all. Have you seen how riled the community already is now? Just don't touch it, and then just don't touch it for now, at least. One of the biggest criticisms I've seen is that, or at least for Helldivers and why they nerf it, is it's a PvE game, they don't need balance. Which, in my opinion, is complete BS. That's complete BS, absolutely. Just because it's a PvE game doesn't mean it doesn't need balance. You still need to feel challenged. I play a lot of PvE games, and I mean a lot. Deep Rock, Salmon Run, From the Depths, Factorio, what's another one? Power World. Balance is still important. So just because it's a PvE game doesn't mean they have to make all weapons overpowered. That's a stupid way to... That's honestly a stupid way to think. So yes, I honestly feel like if a weapon is purely overpowered, they should nerf it. I'm probably gonna get flack for this, but Railgun in the beginning of the game, granted that was because of a bug, and they later fixed that bug, and now Railgun feels really underpowered, but yeah, I feel like it should have got nerfed. Granted, I feel like I should have fixed the bug first, and then see how the Railgun turned out. But they're not perfect, let's just say that. I honestly feel like balance right now is Helldivers 2's biggest issue. Yeah, it's probably its second biggest issue besides the whole Sony thing, but we won't talk about that. I want to say it's still growing pains. The devs are still learning, obviously. What patch was it? Patch 1.000. 2.400, which was the patch that buffed a lot of things, and it was still considered the best patch. In fact, it is the best patch in the game. Rocket Sentry is now obviously one of my favorite sentries. It's just so good now. It's a cross between like autocannon and Gatling Sentry, but it's not a great at either or. Anyway, this patch just buffed stuff basically. There's probably one thing. It changed rocket pods, which was kind of nerf, but it does full damage to armor now instead of half damage. I still feel like they have a lot left to learn. Obviously, the whole debacle about, hey, we're going to change our ways, and then they didn't change their ways, and now everyone's mad again. I understand that, but honestly, for me personally, I kind of just want to see how it goes. I'm going to always continue to play Helldivers 2, because it's just one of the most unique PvE games in a while. Up there with Deep Rock and Salmon Run, in my opinion. So it's just a really unique game overall. The only problem is, again, the balance. I would love to see a graph of like how many players are on 7 and above difficulty. And that's why they're nerfing things, because there's so many people on 7 and above difficulty that they think these weapons are too overpowered, so they kind of nerf it. That's really the realistic way, the only way at least I could think, personally. There's like too many people on higher difficulties. But that necessarily isn't a bad thing. So, I don't know. Really, realistically. Again, Flamethrower needs, at this point, a complete rework, or there's no reason bringing it at all. But then again, I never ran it, so. At least the Orbital, Walking Barrage, and 120 got a big buff. 120 finally got its cooldown decreased. Like, I don't know why it was the same cooldown as 380, when 380 is just a straight upgrade from 120. Hot tip, if you're ever going to bring 380, get increased throwing range. 380, ever since they added that ship module for decreased sped, has been my go-to. I bring it on every mission. It's just always such nice to bring. A few of the weapons, or if like Slugger or the Walking Barrage finally got buffed, because there was no ever reason to bring it. Like, there's a lot of things I wish they would buff. Like, EMS Strike. EMS Strike, I feel like, could be good. Since I always run recoilless, I always run the problem, and Titans always catch up to me when I need to do the reload. So having EMS Strike be able to stun Titans for at least like 5 to 3 seconds, while I can get that reload off, would just be so nice. If you want, you can increase its cooldown time, so it doesn't seem too overpowered. But I feel like if you do EMS, if you do that, the player has to make a quick decision. Do I want to stun the Titan, or do I want to stun the group of enemies? The group of enemies will be stunned for like, what, I think it's like 15 seconds, but only heavy enemies, like Bile Titans, will get stunned for like 5 to 3 seconds. And mines, I think IRL are like pretty dirt cheap, so mines in Helldivers should also have like a 1-minute cooldown, because they should be dirt cheap. They're mass produced, right? So let's make them mass produced. Let's have their cooldown dirt cheap. I don't know, that's just some balance changes that I kind of want to see personally. That orbital EMS would also apply to the Siege Artillery static shells. Like, I don't want to say you would stun factory striders with it, because that might be a bit too much, but at least have it have more use cases for me to bring it on a mission. Because right now there's not really a reason to stun things for 15 seconds, so I can just, you know, cluster bomb it or something else. There's not really a reason for me to bring EMS Strike. So if I could stun heavy enemies with it, okay, now I can see use cases with it, like the recoilless scenario I just showed with. I could combo it with the 500, but the problem is I need to bring 2 stratagems to combo with it. So that would be, it would give it more combo potential, basically, is what I'm saying. Like, it would almost directly buff quite a few other stratagems. Like, it would be easier to combo 500 with. But if you learn the cooldown time and bait the Titan into, if you bait the Titan to always spit at you and learn the cooldown time, how long it takes for the 500 to drop, so you can consistently damage Titans quite a bit or one-shot them, you don't really need EMS Strike for that scenario to combo with 500. So that's just, it's just some stuff that I would like to see buffed. I can honestly do a whole other video about stuff that I want to see buffed, which is a lot of stuff I just want to see buffed, but I feel like for right now they just need to stop the nerfs, just for right now. Like, I'm fine with them nerfing other stuff down the line, but for right now, just don't nerf. Just play with people what they got right now, and then just don't nerf it. Or if it's like I think Commando being able to shoot or Commando being able to kill fabricators from the sides is a bug. That's in the bug. That's in the known bugs, I think. Don't fix that. Like, Commando's not even that powerful. Well, like, it's either Commando or Expendable Anti-Tank, but Commando has a longer cooldown than Expendable Anti-Tank. But Expendable Anti-Tank, you get 2 shots. But Commando gets 4 plus guided. That seems overpowered until you realize, like, you can put down... That seems overpowered until you realize, like, Expendable Anti-Tank has, like, half the cooldown Commando does. So I feel like Commando right now is at a pretty good spot, even with that bug. And so is Expendable Anti-Tank. I feel like there's no reason they should change that. But they might down the line. But I don't know. I just feel like they need to currently just stop the nerfs unless it's blatantly, like, overpowered, like Incendiary Breaker was. But then again, I feel like they should just reduce it by a mag. I know you can bring Supply Backpack to basically nullify the nerf that Incendiary Breaker got, but I still think that's kind of iffy. I don't run backpacks because the weapons I always bring have backpacks on them. So yeah, just some stuff that I would like to see in the future down the line.